A few months ago, I showed you guys the all-new Civic sedan, and I pretty much proclaimed it to be one of the best compact cars on the market. Today I'm in gorgeous San Diego showing you guys the all-new two-door version of this car. Is it just as epic as the sedan? Let's take a look and find out. Now, unlike the four-door version, the two-door hasn't been around for quite as long. In fact, we first saw the two-door Civic here in the States in 1993. This 2016 model represents the 6th generation of the two-door version of the Civic, and you can see it basically looks like its sleek sedan counterpart. In fact, Honda stresses the fact that there are not very many body panels shared with this sleek two-door and the more sensible four-door. In fact, the headlights and the grille are pretty much the only thing I noticed in the car shares. The coupe has its own unique front end, its own unique hood. In fact, the two-door version is about 2 inches wider, 5.5 inches shorter, and about 1 inch lower versus the sedan version. And it really shows. This car has a really sleek, very luxury-like appearance to it. And in fact, the entire silhouette of the car looks better than most of the current crop of Acura products for me, just by looking at this car. Now, this particular one that I'm showing you is the touring model. It is the top-of-the-line version of the Civic Coupe. In fact, Honda offers this car in several trims, starting at LX, LXP, EX, EXL, and then the touring version, which is slightly different versus the four-door sedan. Now you can see coming around the side profile of the car, the wheels are basically the same 17-inch wheels you're getting from the four-door version. They look pretty good. I would expect to see a larger wheel entire package on the upcoming SI and Type R model. Now, coming around the side profile, you can really see this car is about 1 inch lower than the sedan, and Honda basically took most of that out of the roof line just to give this car that sleek look. I mean, with a two-door buyer, they really value style over sensibility. In fact, Honda pretty much has this market all to themselves. The Kia Forte Coupe is this car's only competition, and then, as you guys heard, the Scion TC has now been discontinued for the 2017 model year. Now, under the hood of this car, you're still looking at the same powertrains that were all new in the sedan, starting at the base 2-liter with 158 horsepower. It does have VTEC. It is double overhead cam. This particular touring comes with the company's new 1.5-liter turbocharged engine. It doesn't have VTEC, but it does have direct injection, about a 17 PSI turbocharger, force-feeding air into it, and it makes up the same 174 horsepower. Now, as you can see here at the rear, this car bears a lot of resemblance to that striking Civic Coupe concept the company showed in New York last year. In fact, compared to the sedan, the silhouette is pretty similar, although you can obviously tell this car's rear overhang has been shortened, the roofline has been lowered, and the taillights are certainly interesting. They actually span the entire width of the car. This portion right here is illuminated. LED taillights are standard. You can see this touring model does have very nice details. It looks especially classy in this gray exterior color. And if you look slightly underneath the bumper, you'll find 2 exhaust tips in this car, which is interesting. It's the first time I've ever seen dual exhaust on a Civic. The sedan also comes with it as well. I just wish that Honda would make it a little bit more visible with a chrome tip, but that's something they'll probably reserve for the SI or the Type R models. Now, even though this is a two-door, the practicality of this car is still pretty impressive. Opening the trunk size is pretty similar to what you get on the sedan. Now, Honda doesn't have any official numbers for us yet. You can see I'm noticing the opening is quite large. The trunk is not quite as deep. It's a little bit more shallow, but luckily, when you look underneath the floor, Honda still gives you a spare tire. There's no fix-a-flat kit like some of its competitors. The seats are also still 60-40 split, and overall, this car still, even though it gives you that sleek styling, has a lot of practicality. But enough about the exterior. Let's take a look at the inside and see how it differentiates from the four-door version. On the inside of the all-new Civic Coupe, you can see it basically mimics the fantastic interior that Honda just introduced on the sedan, other than the fact that you're going to lose the 2 doors. Now, obviously, with a coupe, you're going to be dealing with a much longer, heavier door. The seats themselves don't look any different to me versus the sedan. I was expecting Honda to kind of give you a thicker, wider bolstering, but they actually didn't. This is actually the ash black combination. There's also an ivory black combination for those of you who want a different color versus this gray interior color scheme. Now, the coupe does feel a lot lower than the sedan, so when you do get it inside, you can instantly feel this car feels a little bit wider versus the sedan. It's about 2 inches wider, as I said, in overall width. It's about an inch lower, so there's a little bit less headroom in here. So those of you who are taller may not like that. You may prefer the sedan. Now, this touring model that I'm showing you does come with Honda's remote start. It's got intelligent access key. It's actually standard on the LXP trims and up when you get remote start and the push button start as well. So all you have to do is put your foot on the brake and then push the button right here to start the engine. And of course the Touring, just like the sedan, has that full LCD display for the speedo and the tach. It's a very pretty looking instrumentation cluster, very much nicer than what you would probably find in some Acura products as well. But this 1.5T is a new engine for the coupe. It's a pretty nice sounding motor. I mean, it's very similar to the way that's the sedan that I showed you guys. So we'll go on to the test drive later on. Now you can see the rest of this interior here. First, let me shut the door. The door has a nice heavy solid thunk feel, so it adds to that impression of quality. And you know, just at a glance, this interior again just looks like the sedan. It has that very cockpit driver oriented feel where everything in here feels kind of situated and centered toward the driver. The materials in here are tops in the class. You have soft touch on the upper portions right here. There's more soft touch right here with the stitching. There's some aluminum look trim on this up-level Touring, and then of course you have Honda's latest infotainment system here. It's an 8-inch display, and you can see here, looking at the rest of the center console here, this is the Cvt Transmission. Currently it's the only available transmission at launch. Honda will be offering a 1.5T with a manual transmission later on, so those of you wanting that, you'll be happy to see that Honda is appealing to you as an enthusiast. Now, looking at the door panels here, it's also soft touch with more aluminum look, silver painted plastic, leather stitching right here, padded where your elbows are going to rest. The windows are actually automatic up down for both. I was in an LX model and that was the case for the LX as well, so it's nice to see that Honda included that. Now the steering, this is an electric power steering system. The leather's very nice. This is basically the same kind of stitched soft leather you find in an Acura steering wheel or an Acura interior. So again, Honda really is upping the quality in here. You can see there's lots of controls here for your steering wheel audio controls. This button here is actually a touchpad, so if you want to increase your audio, you can kind of just run your finger along the pad right here and it'll increase the volume up or down, which is good because Honda doesn't give you a freaking volume knob. I hate how Honda is doing that. There's no buttons for the audio system. Luckily there is 2 knobs for the climate, but I really think Honda needs to reconsider just adding a little volume and tuning knob kind of like at these portions here on the upper part of the dash. You can see I do have heated seats on my Touring model. There's dual zone automatic climate control. When you guys go for the EXT model and up, you'll get that feature. When you guys put this car in reverse, you have a nice backup camera. It has the trajectory markers and the distance. There's no parking sensors on the Civic. You have to go for like a bigger Honda, like an Accord, to get the parking sensors. But you can see electronic parking brake is standard on all the models. You also do get the Honda's brake hold function. Your eco button is here. Overall, the rest of the center console here, this armrest here, it slides and adjusts. The fact that they gave you an electronic parking brake really frees up a lot of space in here. You can see your cup holders are in here. There's even more storage when you lift underneath the cup holder here. So it's a nice practical vehicle for sure, and this is a really great daily driver. You can see there looking at your storage. Your USB is down there. That little Easter egg from the sedan is also found down there. So again, there's basically a lot of sharing with the sedan, which is a good thing. This car does appeal to a lot of people. I mean, it's one of Honda's best sellers. The company easily moves over 300,000 units every year. Now, let me go back to the infotainment system here, because this is Honda's latest in terms of their infotainment display. When you push the home display there, you can see the graphics in here are pretty good. It's really nicely laid out. It has the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, so your connectivity is there. The touchscreen response is also not bad. It's also pretty fast, so I am impressed with that. The navigation system is a new Garmin-based navigation that does give you 3D rendering, so it's nice to see Honda has upgraded versus the older system that was in the old Civic, for example. Now looking at, going to your rest of your audio display here, let me go show you guys some of your sources. You can see here when you turn on your audio system. Now this Touring model has a 10 speaker, 450 watt audio system. You actually get that on the EXT trim and up, so it's nice to see Honda gives you a premium sounding audio system. And you can see here, you know, overall the layout is really nice. It's pretty easy to use. Again, I just don't like the fact that there are no knobs, but hopefully Honda will, you know, address that later on in the future. Looking at this glove compartment here, it's large. It's actually not damp, so I'm surprised about that. It's not lined with felt either. You can see my tester also has a sunroof that is actually included on the LXP trim and up. There is no pano roof available on the Civic, just the standard size moonroof. But overall, the interior of the coupe model basically carries on what you're going to find in the sedan. It's a very nice place to spend time. Now, to get access to the rear seat, all you have to do is just pull this lever on the passenger side. The seat will then flip forward and then automatically slide forward. Well, not automatically, but it slides forward to give you a little bit more easier access to the back seat. Now you can see, getting back here, the coupe obviously is not as spacious as the sedan. There's no flat floor here like you would find in the sedan. And overall, of course, the headroom is compromised because of that low roof. I'm pretty short, and I'm basically, my head is touching the ceiling, and I'm only 5'7". There's no map pockets here. There's no air vents as well. The materials back here are pretty much hard plastic. That's kind of expected. There's some small storage and cup holders back here. And you know, overall, I guess in a pinch, I think the back seat is okay. But just know, if you guys actually need to put people in the back seats, you need to go for the 4-door. The 2-door is definitely not the one to carry a lot of people and stuff. Now, checking out underneath the hood of the Civic Coupe, you can see this is an all-new motor for the 2-door version of the Civic. It's basically the carryover powertrains from the sedan. It's the company's new 1.5-liter turbocharged direct injection 4-cylinder engine. It's part of their Earth Dreams technology family. Now, this engine does not have their patented VTEC variable valve timing system. Instead, it has that turbo and direct injection. The turbo puts out about 17 pounds of boost. It makes the same 174 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty impressive, especially in this class. Now, you guys going for the LX models will have the 2-liter VTEC 4-cylinder engine, double overhead cam. That is non-direct injection. That makes 158 horsepower and about 132 pound-feet of torque. Now, both engines are rated at 31 in the city and 41 on the highway. About 35 combined for the turbo and 34 combined for the non-turbo 2-liter. Those are tops in the class in terms of fuel economy again. So the Civic is basically in its prime time right now in terms of powertrain. This is what the new Civic practically needed, was new powertrains. Now, all Civics are front-wheel drive. You can currently get the 2-liter with a manual or CVT. The turbo is right now only available with the CVT, but a manual is coming. But let's get out on the road and see how it all works together, shall we? Now, when I showed you guys the all-new Civic sedan, I was really impressed with the car, and I promised you guys that I would show you another full review on the coupe. And as promised, Honda is also pretty much on target in introducing their next model lines for the Civic. The coupe, it will be going on sale soon, followed by the 5-door hatch, and then of course all you enthusiasts out there are salivating over the SI and Type R, which has been delayed until early next year. However, this coupe, Honda promises this coupe is a lot sportier feeling than the sedan. As I said before, they shortened the car about 5.5 inches. It's 2 inches wider, about an inch lower in its roofline. So let's see if it actually feels any different versus the sedan when you get it out on the road. I actually haven't had a chance to drive the new Civic since I drove the sedan a few months ago last year, and I have to say that the Civic still impresses me to this day. Now, compared to the sedan, the coupe has slightly stiffer spring rates, it has a wider track, it has slightly different tires on it, and it feels good. This touring model that I'm showing you guys is the top of the line of the coupe, and the steering is excellent. This is basically right on par with the Mazda 3 in terms of its steering feel. The body, of course, has that typical body lean. I mean, this is not a sports car by any measure, but the Civic Coupe does feel like a very sporty compact car, and it's basically a return to the Civic's sporty roots. The old one was getting a lot bloated feeling. It was just feeling very Corolla-like, and this one definitely has that German, tank-like, or that German fun-to-drive feel. I mean, when you're going around these corners here, you can feel the Civic just changes direction so quickly. The steering gives you lots of feedback, even though this is an electric power steering assist. Now, the overall visibility in here is probably something that you guys are curious about. This coupe has slightly different side mirrors, I want to say, versus sedan. They're big mirrors, so you have really good, excellent sight lines. The hood is nice and low. The view out of the back is not bad. It's not as good as the sedan because you do have more of that lower roof, so you will impede your visibility in the name of style. I mean, Honda says that this buyer in this class of car really puts style ahead of everything, and that's the reason why you choose a coupe. And it must be working for them because Honda still sells almost 50,000 coupes every year when you combine, or that's on its own. Combined total Civic sales are over 300,000 units every year. The all-new Civic with its 1.5 liter turbocharged engine is definitely a very impressive combination. This car will scoot up to 60 in the 7-second range, low 7-second range. It's practically almost as quick as the previous generation Civic Si, or the current generation Civic Si. They haven't shown us the new one yet. And I have to say, the tuning of this CVT is quite good. I had it in its sport mode there, and you heard it was mimicking gears. This car feels pretty potent. Now, one thing I complained about in the sedan that I drove was the initial lag off the line. I'm feeling it a tad less in the coupe, which is interesting. It's almost like Honda has tuned the coupe to have less of that lag. I'm not sure exactly why it is that way, but I mean, it's a good thing because the coupe feels a little bit more sporty. It feels a little bit more focused and sharp versus its sedan counterpart. Now, one thing that I am disappointed to see in this Civic Coupe is a lack of paddle shifters or a manual shift mode. There's basically just a sport mode. There's just D, S, and an L. There is no manual mode here, and I think that Honda should have included it on the coupe. The previous generation Civic Coupe had those paddle shifters, and on this touring model, I'm kind of missing it. It really needed that for that, you know, to go along with that sporty feel that Honda promises with this Civic Coupe. But everything else about the experience is quite good. This touring model basically approaches Accord-like levels of luxury, or at least of premium feel. I mean, this goes down the road with a solidity that you don't expect a Civic to have, and it's one of the reasons why this car won North American Car of the Year. I have no you know, thoughts other than the fact that the Civic deserves it. It's a really big redesign, and I'm trying to really do my best to find faults with this car, and it's a little bit tough. I mean, honestly, I'm surprised that Honda still offers a coupe in this class. I mean, they are one of the original, or the only ones left to still offer a coupe. The TC will be no more for 2017, and really its only competitor is the Kia Forte coupe, which honestly looks a lot like a Civic coupe, to be honest. But I mean, overall, Honda is in a market all by itself with the Civic Coupe, and they've pretty much developed a vehicle that is the best in class and pretty much the only player in the class. So those of you who are looking for a coupe like this will certainly find a lot to like with the latest generation of the Civic Coupe. Now, one thing that I did complain about was a lack of a manual transmission available on this 1.5T. I think it'd be an excellent combination, and apparently Honda has been listening because there is a manual 1.5 liter turbo that I am able to drive at this press event that I'm currently at here in San Diego, and I'm going to switch over to that vehicle if I can get a chance to film it and show you guys, you know, a little bit of a taste of it. The Honda is saying that they have basically approved production of the manual 1.5T for the sedan and the coupe, and it will basically be a model that's still below the SI, so the SI will have still a different motor versus the 1.5T. But I mean, overall, if you guys are going to consider this car, it's certainly still an impressive car. It'll definitely be that sleek, stylish commuter car that you're looking for. And if you're going to compare it to the Scion TC, at least the current one before they discontinue it, the Civic definitely offers much more premium interior, a lot more safety tech features. I mean, this Civic Coupe touring model will practically just drive itself down the road, and all I have to do is just supervise. It's got the active lane keeping assist. It's got the Honda adaptive cruise control with the low speed follow. It has the lane departure warning, automatic emergency braking with collision mitigation braking. I mean, this car has lots of accurate levels of technology, and the fact that it's just a Honda is a really impressive feat for the company to do on their their entry-level compact car. Now, after spending the last 2 days here in San Diego, I'm happy to proclaim that Honda has done a really good job at differentiating the two-door from the four-door. As you can see, not only do you get the sleek styling of the two-door, you also get slightly different driving dynamics. The steering is much heavier, the suspension feels a lot more buttoned down, and the car feels a lot more focused, which is what you want in a two-door version of the car. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to show you guys an actual driving scene with the 1.5T and the 6-speed manual, but I can say that that car's powertrain combination was fantastic. In fact, if you guys are an enthusiast and you're looking for your next daily driver, but don't necessarily want all the performance of the SI and the Type R, that 1.5 manual and 6-speed was pretty good. It offers the low-end torque that you need that the 2-liter just doesn't have, and it gives the car a very easy to drive, very smooth and easy demeanor for a daily driver. Now, if you guys are looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and as always, keep subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you're also wondering when this new two-door will go on sale, it'll hit your dealer showrooms later next month with no pricing yet announced, but it'll probably stay close to the four-door version, which is from the $19,000 to about $27,000 for this fully loaded touring model that I'm showing you guys. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed my overview of this car. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you all later.